The process itself, that became the most important thing to me, more important than anything else. In that moment, when I realized that, hey, I think the remote viewing is taking place in a different part of my brain, and that's why that distraction didn't end the remote viewing for me, was so profound for me. There was another moment that happened in a remote viewing session that took that to the next level. In the midst of my remote viewing exploration and obsession, I read or tried to read as many books as I could. Now, I have dyslexia. Reading is not very easy for me, but I realized that it actually was beneficial for me, actually, in this regard. Meaning, my dyslexia forces me to have to read sentences and paragraphs over and over and over again in order to basically comprehend what is in that sentence or that paragraph. As a result, it takes me a really long time to get through a book. But the benefit of that, I found, is that by obsessively going over these sentences and paragraphs over and over and over again, I began to really comprehend what the author was really trying to convey. So I read Ingo Swann's books, Joe McMoneagle, Lynn Buchanan, Paul Smith. I went through their books and I read paragraphs over and over and over again. Specifically when they were talking about the process. I was not interested in, let me tell you about this session I did, or General so-and-so did had us remote view the Russians. I don't care about any of that stuff. The only stuff that is interesting to me in those books is when they're talking about the process itself. The only thing that I'm interested in. Specifically, Ingo Swann's book, Natural Guide to ESP. I obsessed over that book for years. I would read specific paragraphs over and over and over again. And his work on trying to understand what was taking place during a remote viewing, the different levels of the mind, different levels of consciousness. He sought to explain them. He tried to explain them as best as he could, and I got a lot out of it. But there was one thing in particular that changed the course for me. And I was remote viewing a blind target. And in the session, I had all these elements that I was drawing, but they didn't seem to fit together. I didn't understand what it was. They were kind of, one piece was over here, one piece was over there. When I checked the feedback was a spy headquarters in the United Kingdom. And it's this donut-shaped building. And I looked at the feedback, and I looked at my sketch, and I realized that what I had captured on video was something that Ingo Swann termed in his book lack of fusion. And that means when you're rendering or drawing something and you have the pieces of it, you just don't know how they fit together. He termed that lack of fusion. It lacks fusion. I thought it was a great phrase and just a perfect phrase to explain what that phenomena was. But I captured that phenomena on video in that session, and I was so happy to do it. And it altered the course of what my goal with making videos and recording myself was all about, which was capturing those, what can be termed lightning in a bottle moments. Those strange phenomena that take place during a remote viewing session. And the more I obsessed specifically with Ingo Swann's book, Natural Guide to ESP, on these different things that he had talked about in his book, I would begin to have those experiences in my sessions and capture them on video so that I can say, this is what it looks like. It's not just what does it seem like in a book, which in my opinion, most people who read that would probably just read right through it, maybe not give it a second thought. But I really felt that capturing it and showing it as an example live would be very, very meaningful. It would really get the point across to what that phenomenon really is by seeing it captured live. And I did that, and I was so happy. From that moment on, and that was, I don't know, 2012, something like that, 2013, that became the full-on driver for me, was the process of remote viewing. That was when the process became my teacher.